Arkansas men's basketball has earned a number 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. I'm Blake Toppmeyer with USA Today Network, here with Arkansas beat writer Christina Long of the Fort Smith Times-Record. Christina, Arkansas in the same region as number 1 overall seed Gonzaga. It looks like a loaded region, but Arkansas cannot afford to look ahead because in round 1 they have 13th seeded Vermont, a team that I know is probably going to be a trendy upset pick. Just how concerned should Arkansas be in round 1 there about that matchup with Vermont?
Well, the interesting thing about the Vermont matchup is that Arkansas had a similar kind of thing last season when they made it to the Elite Eight. Their first matchup was Colgate, and Colgate was a similar kind of hot team that really dominated all of their other opponents in kind of a smaller, less talent-loaded league, and was kind of a trendy upset pick again as well last year. But Arkansas did make it past Colgate, made it all the way to the Elite Eight. They've kind of been here before, and if they can avoid kind of a trap game, I think they should be fine to beat Vermont, even though Vermont's won 21 of their last 22 and is really, really hot.
All right, so in Arkansas's region, you have number 1 Gonzaga, you have Duke as the number 2 seed, Texas Tech is the number 3 seed. You go down, UConn's the number 5 seed. It looks like to me you could make a case that this is the toughest overall region in the tournament. And do you think I'm in the realm of being reasonable there? Is that the way you see it? What do you make of the region overall?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a tough draw for Arkansas. Probably, they would tell you in coach speak that they are excited to have the opportunity to play these great teams and have the opportunity to knock off a team like Gonzaga. But I think it's probably not really what they were looking for as far as having an easy path to another Elite Eight. It's definitely one of the more challenging regions, just in the Buffalo area alone with Gonzaga there.
Is there something about this Arkansas team that tells you they might be poised for another deep run in the tournament? As you mentioned, they're coming off of an Elite Eight trip last year. We know, they didn't play their best in the SEC tournament, particularly in that loss to Texas A&M, but conference tournaments are not always indicative of what's going to happen in March. So is there anything you see that suggests, hey, Arkansas could go on another run this year?
Well, Arkansas's defense has really been what's carrying it over these last several games. They had a really, really hard schedule to end the season against a bunch of top net-ranked teams, and they actually held up really well. They held a bunch of opponents under 40% shooting, and so I think that defense combined with the offensive talents of J.D. Notae, who has, I think, almost 20 points per game. The big part of why they lost in the quarterfinal to Texas A&M was that A&M limited Notae to 5 points, and when Notae's not scoring, they can't win. So I think if Notae is kind of back to his old ways after that one little bump, they should be fine in these early rounds. I think the combination of him and their really strong defense over the last few games should be what helps them. The problem is when they lost to Tennessee at the end of the regular season, and then when they lost the other night to Texas A&M, they were having trouble defending the three-point line, and that was really what did it for them in both of those 2 losses. So if they can kind of tighten that up in these next couple games, Vermont isn't a huge three-point shooting team, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem unless they try to exploit that weakness. They should be okay.
Other than Gonzaga, they're going to get a lot of the attention in this region as the number 1 overall seed. Is there someone in this region that maybe stands out to you as a sort of a second-tier pick, if not Gonzaga, and let's say if not Arkansas, this is the team that maybe goes to the Final Four from this region?
Yeah, I'm really interested in Texas Tech and just what they've been able to do this season. I know that's not necessarily a sleeper, they're a high seed too, but I think if you're going to look at a team that isn't Gonzaga or Arkansas, and if you're going to look at the other side of the bracket, I think Texas Tech is probably the team I'm looking at the most.
For all the coverage of Arkansas in the NCAA tournament, you can follow along with Christina. She'll have the coverage at swtimes.com.